So this is probably going to be one of the most controversial videos that I've ever made. I usually sit back and I observe, and over the last year and a half to 2 years, I've stayed away from politics, I've stayed away from racial issues, I've stayed away from all these different things because I'm trying to grow a business and I'm trying to promote positivity and I'm trying to get this message out that no matter your circumstances, you can be better. No matter, if you're a victim of a certain crime or whatever it is, that you can progress your life. But I'm sick and tired of something specific, and I feel like my voice and me addressing this is something that most people need. This is what people need to hear. They need to hear it from me specifically. I'm seeing this general outrage about different things in our community, and I understand, I understand the history of blackface, and I know exactly why it's a derogatory thing, and I know exactly why it is something that should not be perpetuated or even spoken on. I understand that police brutality is something that is affecting our communities. I understand also that there is a disparity between certain African American groups and certain Caucasian groups. I understand it. I understand 100%. What I don't understand is the outrage about that and those issues when we never stepped back and looked in the mirror and said, what can I do to take personal responsibility for certain things? What can I do to take accountability of our culture and our life, in my life specifically, to stop perpetuating these different things? You see, I was in the grocery store the other day and I was in line about to check out, and there's these two African American teenagers, probably 13 to 14 years old, and they're going back and forth and they're calling themselves niggas this and they're talking about bitches this and all that different stuff. And in my head I'm thinking, at 13 and 14, I would have been killed if I was speaking like this or if I was, communicating this way. And I'm thinking, so where is this coming from? Is it the parents that are teaching this? Is it culture that is teaching this? And I'm just like, no, I understand it. You know why? Because at no point have we taken personal responsibility over those kind of words and how we treat each other and how we see each other and the words that we say to each other. We're powerful. There are so many adjectives that we could use to describe ourselves, except we call ourselves niggas. Niggas this, and we call our females bitches, and bitches this. I don't understand it. I do not speak this way, and I don't understand it. But as I scroll on social media, I do understand why our kids are saying these things. Because this is how people talk to each other, especially African Americans. We're talking to each other this way, neglecting the fact that words have power. Words absolutely have power. I don't understand it, and for you to get outraged over something that someone else is doing to you and not realizing that you're poisoning your own community and you're poisoning your own youth, I don't understand that. Where's the outrage there? We let our celebrities be our influencers. We let our celebrities tell us exactly what our outrage should be, but we should be outraged about our own actions. We should be outraged that we're putting out this music with lyrics like this. Perpetuating a culture of drug dealing, calling women bitches, no value, little to no anything worth of substance. And I used to be that kid. I used to listen to this music and think that I was so gangster, or listen to this music to try to fit in, not understanding that it was shaping my mind. It was shaking my interactions with the world. It was shaping my relationship with other people. I've been blessed enough to have clients from all different, aspects of life, some that are ultra successful, and I can promise you they're not in their circle calling each other niggas and bitches. I can promise you they're not in their circle talking about, outrage about different things. No, they're looking inside the mirror and they're saying, this is how I'm going to guide my family. This is how I'm going to help the culture. This is how I'm going to change the world. I don't understand how we can sit back and be outraged at every single thing, but again, not point the finger at ourselves. So I'm here as an African American to say this: we have to find a way to take personal responsibility for our own actions. There's always going to be some kind of or some form of racism. Understood. It's the world. It's never going to be eradicated. Even 500 years from now, somebody might still look at someone and say, you know what, I don't like them because of the way they look. But what can you do about that? You can continue to live your life, and you cannot be outraged about those singular cases, and instead you can be outraged about the music that you're listening to, the things that you're teaching your kids. The fact that people know a little bit more or know more about people like this than they do about gaining or running a business or starting a real estate company or anything like that. Different circles talk about different things. I've been in circles where they're talking about real estate, stocks, things that are going to perpetuate us and things that we need to learn. And I've been in circles where they're talking about bitches, sluts, hoes, this party, promethazine, and all these different things. There comes a time where we have to grow up. There comes a time where we have to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I have to be the change. I have to change myself. I have to stop listening to these negative things that are bringing our culture down. So on one hand, you can't say, blackface, blackface, and all these people, you know, doing blackface. And on the other hand, go on social media and post, you know, niggas ain't shit and bitches ain't shit. Like, I'm seeing this, and I'm sorry that I'm being so vulgar in this video, but I strongly believe in what I'm saying in my message here. I've sat back and I've watched it and I don't understand it. So I'm gonna need some of us to step up. I'm gonna need the African Americans that stand for something to stand up and say, you know what? It's okay to say, you know, we're not going to accept that anymore. We're not going to accept these people telling us what to be outraged about. We're not going to accept that every single time a white person does something to a black person, we need to highlight it, when every time a black person does something to a black person, we sweep it under the rug. I get it. There's racism, things are happening in this world, and I empathize and sympathize with it. I do. I understand that there are people struggling right now, and that you only see, you know, drug dealing as a way out or rapping as a way out, but there's so much more. You can go to school, you can start a business. There are so many things that we could be doing besides talking about the same exact things over and over and over and over, playing a victim mentality. The N-word was created to bring us down, to demean us, to show us that we're ignorant or lazy, and yet we're communicating back and forth amongst ourselves with this word. Regardless if one uses the ER at the end of the word or not, the meaning, roots, and circumstances associated with the word remain the same. There's so many other adjectives that we could be using to describe ourselves. Instead, we talk to each other, nigga this, nigga that. I don't understand it, and while I don't, you know, didn't grow up in certain cultures or certain hoods, I'm saying this: if you want to change a culture of people and you want to change the way the world sees us, you stop doing those things. You stop. At some point, it became cooler to have multiple women in your life and be partying on a yacht, spilling Hennessy on women, your children, or to get a wife or to get a husband for that matter. At some point, it became cooler, rather than to speak with intellect, to go online and say capping and this and that and all these different things. I understand, and I'm definitely not demeaning slang, and I'm not demeaning the culture, and I'm not saying that I don't listen to hip-hop music. What I'm saying, though, is that I can't, on one hand, say that someone else is holding me down when I'm holding myself down. I can't, on one hand, say that everything about a certain situation is creating my demise, and I'm not looking in the mirror saying that these things are being created by myself. We have to understand that. We have to do better as a people. We have to start highlighting people that are running businesses, people like Cornel West who are promoting political activism and taking over the whole entire system and trying to be congressman or political, whatever it is, it has to be more than life than rapping, trapping, and the same exact things, because these are the things that are bringing us down. These are the things that are affecting our culture. We are better than that. We survived the slave trade, we survived slavery, we survived segregation, and now these people that fought for us are rolling over in their graves because all we do is sit around here and blame everyone else and call ourselves niggas and bitches. I don't understand that. We have to do better, people. We have to do better. And it used to bother me that when people used to call me coon and buck dancer and all these different things, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I speak with intellect. I'm a business owner. I'm an author. I go out and I speak at different schools to try to promote positivity. So all these different things are what everyone needs to be thinking about. What can you contribute to bring our culture up, other than just rapping about niggas, bitches, AKs, 40s, and all these different things? I understand. Hip-hop used to be something where we promoted unity. Hip-hop used to talk about the struggle, but they talked about it in a positive way, that we're going to get out the struggle. Now it's just like, hey, don't snitch, get the AK, I'm going to blow your brains out. Like, what is this message that we're promoting? And you might say it's just entertainment, but I can promise you it is not. They've done studies where they've had a specific test, and they've taken that group of people and they said held up different cards to that group of people that were negative and that you suck and all these different things, and they've taken those other cards and they said you're amazing, you're great, you're king, queen, or whatever, and they've graded the test, and guess who did better? It's the people that listened to positive stuff. It's the people that were encouraged. It's the people that felt like they were worth something. But you calling your brothers and sisters niggas and bitches is not showing value. This is not creating value. We have to create value in ourselves. We have to be the change. So the next time you think about getting outraged about something that the celebrities are doing or something that is not even in your realm of influence, you need to think about your influence, your social circle, the things you post on social media, the things that you talk about when you're at the barbershop, the things that you talk about when you're at the grocery store, the things that you talk about when you're around your kids, because they're sponges and they're picking up every single thing that you are saying. Believe it. And I'm not talking about just curse words. I'm talking about you belittling the culture, you belittling black people, women, black women, all these different things. Think about it. Think about these things before you decide to comment on Trump's speech, or before you decide to comment on Gucci putting out blackface, before you decide to call someone else out, have you looked in the mirror and called yourself out? Again, I understand that this video is a little controversial. If you rock with me, you know that I usually don't talk about these specific things, but again, I feel like my voice, my influence, somebody needed to hear this today, so I spoke on it. Be the change, people. Be the change. Drop the N-word. Call yourself what you are. You are powerful, you are amazing, you are phenomenal, all these different things that you could be saying. My brothers and sisters specifically, you could be calling yourself that. My brother, my sister, all these different things, all right? I'm going to keep putting out great content. This is what I do, guys. This is what I do. I'm not backing down in 2019 from things that I want to talk about simply because I'm going to get, chastised, or my family's going to get chastised. It is what it is. Somebody needed to hear this message today, so I spoke on it. Have a good day.